You're listening to an uncensored live replay on zradiolive.com.
We have a special guest with us today, and I don't know how else to introduce him except for this. He is the man with no face, but he can scream his opinion as loud as he can. He has such a history with the internet community. He has over 5 million views on YouTube, including not including his old channels, by the way. He goes by many allies, but his name is Jim81 Jim, aka the Internet Aristocrat, Mr. Metokur. Hello, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Good. This is like kind of your theme song, I feel like. Every time I join your channel, this is what I hear, so I had to play it.
No, that was just the cheapest, most free audio track that I could find. That's what I did. So yeah, that works. That's my theme song.
There you go. Yeah, it's a nice little
sure.
bass track. Listen to this. There we go. Music.
Royalty free. That's the way to go. Yeah.
That is the way to go.
What song would you have chosen, Mr. Jam?
If I could just pick anything I wanted.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh God, I'd probably go with some terrible weeaboo shit. It would be some obscure anime opening that everybody would fucking hate. That would be what I would go with.
Well, Jim, it's great to have you on the show today. I really do appreciate you coming on, because literally I thought, out of all the millions of messages you got on Facebook, why would you answer some guy named Zach who's a Jew?
Oy vey. I know. I walked into a trap. What am I doing?
I don't understand. I'm very confused.
Well, as an ardent neo-Nazi and white nationalist, this is terrible. I don't know what I'm doing.
Oh man, well, Jim, it is again great to have you on the show. I have a bunch of questions to ask you. First of all, I'm not going to ask you again what the name Mr. Metokur came from, because we already know it's a Turkish word, and you've kind of picked that up as your title. You originally went with Internet Aristocrat in the past. Why did you switch it up?
You mean from Internet Aristocrat to Metokur? Or just
Yeah, from Internet Aristocrat to Metokur. What was the idea behind that?
Well, I guess with Internet Aristocrat, it kind of ended during Gamergate. So I kind of walked away from that identity, and just it's something I've done a lot throughout my, I guess, history on the internet. I've had a multitude of accounts where I'd have them open for a year or two. I'd do whatever I'm going to do on them, and then I just walk away for like maybe 6 months, start a new account, and just kind of start over.
And I think, honestly, that's the most interesting thing about you, because you've been able to go away from many different accounts, but still have the same fan base, still have the fans following you. How do you do that?
I don't know. It is a little bit weird. I'm going to guess maybe the content is, it's somewhat the same through each iteration. So, if somebody likes the stuff that I'm doing on one particular channel, the chances are they're going to seek out something similar to it and find it in a search result. And then it's kind of like a game of telephone, I guess, where somebody's like, oh, hey, I ran into this insufferable asshole again under a new account name. And that's kind of how it happens. But it's just kind of something that I've always done, I guess. I've done it maybe 10, 15 times. So It's just kind of something I've done on YouTube, I guess.
I mean, is it kind of like a way to secure yourself from your identity?
No, it's just I always liked kind of having a smaller channel, to be honest.
Okay.
That would be one of the reasons. I didn't like the idea of just having too large of an audience. It makes me feel a little weird.
Okay.
It's easier, at least for me, to just have a smaller group of people that watch the stuff, because then it seems more entertaining. It feels more kind of, I guess,
it feels more like
a
home kind of thing.
Well, not even that. It reminds me of kind of the early days of the internet. I mean, back when YouTube first started, or you had Stage 6 from DivX, you would run a channel and you'd have a very small group of people that were paying attention to it. Even the larger channels that had a large following, like, like RMAC21 or something like that. Yeah. He was a big deal back in the early days of YouTube, and I think his largest sub count was maybe 40,000. But I mean, like, that was big back then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Today, that's not considered big. Today, 50 million is. You know what I mean? With like PewDiePie or something like that. But it just kind of harkens back to that, to just a smaller kind of feel to it. It was more comfortable and easier to kind of interact with people. And one of the issues you run into, you get too many people following you, and you can't really respond to everybody. And it kind of bums me out. I like to be able to talk to people. If they leave a comment, I like to be able to respond. If they send a message, I like to be able to reply if I can.
You like to be part of the community, which is nice. But the thing about that is that your channel has blown up. You have 93,000 subscribers, almost to 100,000 subscribers. You have 5 million views on your YouTube. How do you handle that if you want to be such a small community?
Oh, well, I actually stagger the views. The views would probably be about double or triple what they are, but I keep deleting videos. So it actually knocks the number down.
Oh, nice. Oh, I see that. That's sneaky, Jim. That's really sneaky.
Again, that's something I've always done. And with subscribers, a lot of the time too is it doesn't even matter really what kind of content you're putting out or what kind of a channel you have. Somebody comes in because they like a particular video, they watch it, and then enough time goes by that you put out another video, they're not even seeing it in the notifications, or they don't even remember why the hell they subscribed. So it's just kind of like it's a number, it's counted for you, but it's not somebody that's actually actively watching the content. So I don't really, 93,000. Don't get me wrong, that feels big to me, but I don't think that amount of people that are subscribed even are aware the channel's still around, because there have been pretty big gaps, 4 or 5 months here or there, a couple of times where there wasn't any content put on the channel.
Jim, I think you're selling yourself short there, because let me tell you something. Whenever there's when you had Metacast at least on Saturday mornings and you showed up my app, I called up Zach and I was like, Zach, we got to watch this.
We do. We would. Me and him would be like
I think that your channel is definitely much bigger. And also, I mean, here's the thing, Jim. I'm started off on your internet aristocrat days, so that's kind of how I became a little more known to you. That's kind of how Zach and I and Will, of course, over here, who recently got into your channel. And I think with what you try to do is the opposite of what other YouTubers do. Other YouTubers want to get much bigger. Obviously, you want to put out the best content, but at the same time, though, it's not about being out there being big or anything like that. I think for you, it's about quality. Is this correct?
Well, yeah. I mean, I like to make videos on the subjects that interest me, or something that I find entertaining. And if I don't find it entertaining, I'm not going to do it. If I wanted to make money, or if I wanted to have a really huge channel, it's cyclical on YouTube. There are certain cycles that YouTube goes through where if you ride that kind of wave, if you're on the crest of it, you're going to make a shitload of money. Right now, that would be list videos. I know it sounds stupid, but I've seen people open a channel and it takes 2 months and they've got 60, 70,000 subs. Their video view count is 10, 20 million. And all they're doing are list videos. I mean, you could do that if you wanted to. If I wanted to kind of churn out that kind of content, I'd do it, and then I'd reap the rewards of it. But that's not something I'm interested in. I just want to make videos that I find entertaining, and then if somebody else finds it entertaining, that's great.
Yeah, one of your recent videos caused a substantial outcry on the internet, and I'm just wondering what's it like to suddenly feel very overwhelmingly noticed online.
He's talking about the Deviant series, your brand new, wonderful series, by the way. I have to compliment you. Emmy Award winning, I would say.
Well, or Golden Globe. There we go.
Golden Globe. Nobel Peace Prize.
There we go. I'm going to get a Nobel Peace Prize for this. The Deviant series kind of reminds me. There used to be a website. You kind of talking about the Metokur name. There was a website called Metokur that was run by somebody that I knew. And back on that, we had something called DeviantArt Coalition for Quality Control. And this is back maybe 5 or 6 years ago. We were writing articles about DeviantArt, and so it's kind of harkening back to that, I guess. But the reaction's interesting. I do a couple different videos on these different fetishes or interests on this particular website, and it created a shitstorm. I mean, people flipped the fuck out for no real discernible reason, because I'm not hunting anybody. That's the weirdest thing. I got a lot of people yelling at me saying, "You're going after people. You're going after individuals. You're targeting them." All I did in any of those videos was I'd talk about a particular subject, whether it's inflation fetishist or just weird fetishes and shit like that, just for a laugh, just to look at the kind of absurd stuff that's out there. And then to highlight that, I'd show different users and their profiles and their postings. But I never put any personal information up. It was always just whatever the username was. And one of the criticisms I got with Deviants and even Tumblrisms or any of the other stuff that I've ever done is, why don't you black out the names? Why don't you, hide the usernames? Well, one, I mean, it's a public posting, but the other thing is some of this stuff is so fucking absurd. If I didn't include the username, if people couldn't actually go and verify it themselves, they'd never believe it was real. They'd never believe this kind of stuff.
That's the truth, though. I
you
honestly
are right.
can't
Yeah,
believe
you're right,
it. I can't believe someone's into this shit. It really is disgusting.
How about when they? Well, I like the legal professionals of FA Furry Affinity or whatever who claimed that you will be arrested. They're gonna Interpol is gonna come right to your house, Jim, and they're gonna walk you away in handcuffs.
Yeah, you're gonna be arrested, Jim. How do you feel?
Well, yeah, I've been informed by the Furfag, that I'm in deep shit. Apparently,
You are.
Yeah, because apparently, when you laugh at somebody who gets off on the idea of toddler foxes crapping in diapers, that opens you up for major litigation in internet court. And so I've been told by this expert team of attorneys at Fur Affinity that I am in deep trouble.
You are, including with the cyber police too. I heard.
Yeah, well, these people are nuts. Yeah, they wanted me arrested. They wanted to sue me in civil court. They wanted to have criminal charges brought against me. They're talking about shooting me.
Oh, God.
Because I laughed at shit they publicly posted on DA. It's absurd.
Jim, this actually segues into a great question because I actually put the question out there on my Facebook to ask if anybody wanted to ask you a question, and one of the questions that I got back was, "What is you've been looking at a lot of deviant art fetishes lately for your series. What was the one fetish, if there was one, that you would possibly love to try?"
What do you mean? Is there one that I actually want to engage in personally?
Yes. Is there anyone that you would like to engage in personally? Would you ever want to experiment in one?
Well, first, what have I covered? I covered inflationist. I don't want to shove a bike pump up my ass. That doesn't really comfortable to me. You've got a diaper fetishist, ABDL, adult baby diaper lovers. I don't want to put on Pampers and crap myself.
No,
that
you
doesn't
don't.
How big would your diaper be, Mr. Jim?
Jim, I'm telling you right now, you can make so much money off a picture of you in diapers.
Yeah,
swear to God.
that's how I want to be. That's how I want to be remembered, is shitting myself on the internet. That's a great.
The market is out there. I'm telling you.
I'm sure it is. I've run into the market while I'm looking at. There are a lot of artists that make a lot of money doing this shit.
But there hasn't been any fetish that you've been like, it's kind of, it's not as bad. It's not as weird. Maybe you like to try it.
Next week I'm doing giantism. I don't know what the hell. Giant women. I don't know if I don't want to get crushed by some skyscraper-sized chick. What else is there? Like cock for? No, I don't want to be eaten by a penis either. So
Oh my God.
What exactly am I going to engage here?
That's another thing too, Jim. Now, obviously, we've in DA, FA, whatever, AFs, whatever. There's so many fetishes out there, right? How did you come to the order? How did you decide to order the fetishes that you're going to tackle? Because there's a huge array of them. And which ones kind of grossed you out the most that you haven't really posted yet?
The reason inflation fetish was the first one I did was because I found the guy's account where he colored himself like a blueberry and inflated himself. That was funny as shit.
That was hysterical. Can I tell you something? I love that promo you made, the new Deviant Art advertisement.
Yeah, because it's just this giant fat guy who's rubbing his tummy because he inflated himself. And there's another one where a guy literally shoves a bike pump up his ass and starts to inflate. So that shit's funny to me. It's the humor in the situation. I get it. Everybody has their kink. I get it. Everybody has their fetish. Most people are pretty well adjusted where they can take the joke. But from an outside perspective, if you're not engaged in that, if you're not interested in it or into it, it's funny to look at.
It really is.
And that's kind of the approach I take. Is it funny? And if it's funny to me, I'm going to do a video on it. And that's kind of the approach I took.
And it's worked out very well for you. Honestly, it really has. You've put this community up in roar against you. What has the reaction been like since you've released the 4th episode of Deviants?
That was the interesting part. People on Fur Affinity, on DA, and even on that subreddit, the ABDL one, they all were taking the approach that they all hated Toddler Girl, who was one of the people that was featured in the video.
Yeah.
And they also didn't like the mentality of that particular group. They're like, just roll with the punches. Don't get so uptight. Don't file illegal DMCA claims. It's ridiculous. What the fuck are you doing? So I don't know what they're doing, particularly that specific group, the group of people I talked about, but I'm sure they're plotting somewhere openly about it, and I'll stumble on it. They probably put up a fucking Yahoo Answers link. So they're not the smartest fucking people on earth.
Well, I mean, think about it. I mean, Jim, they're having a pretty rough month. I mean, first Trump becomes president, right? And then now you come back with this video, like, well, life is over with. Now I have to go find jobs.
Right. I mean, all they wanted to do was relax and watch some YouTube videos while they hid from Mike Pence and his electrocution squad. And now they can't even do
Pence,
that.
take it in the crapper, get it in the zapper, Pence.
That's right. He's going to electrocute them all.
I'm just wondering how do you actually do your research for the different videos?
That's a great question, actually, because I've actually always wondered this, because there's so much out there. How do you even get in contact with all this material?
Usually it just starts with a basic search, like the inflation fetish one. I was looking on DA. I found the blueberry guy. What I've noticed is whatever the community happens to be, that crazy concentrates itself together. So if you find something that's really absurd, right, and then you look at that individual, who they're following, who's following them, the comments that are left, you're going to find even more absurd shit. In one of the videos, the Vor one, there was a user who was into planes and cars that were anthropomorphic and alive and like to eat each other, and like the amount of crazy shit related to him could be a video in and of itself. Like, it's just mind-blowing how these people flock together and they kind of coordinate their fetishes together into like little clusters that are kind of secured in a way, and that's one of the approaches I take.
Now that we've established, that each community kind of has their own breaking point, I guess, or some sculpt culture of some sort, Jim, we'd like to know what triggers you, like what puts you in an autistic halt and screech, and just what really triggers you, Jim?
Well, obviously, before we continue this, though, I will say this: you can't use the fact that your audience is too big as an answer. Go ahead.
I think the thing that annoys me the most is kind of and it's more of a modern idea in the last year or two. It's the idea that you can't punch down. I've gotten a lot of these comments, and it really does annoy me. Don't focus on this particular group. Don't focus on this particular individual. You're punching down. You need to go after somebody bigger than you. You can't point and laugh at something that's absurd because that individual or that group is smaller than your online presence. There's a term called troll shielding. And what troll shielding is basically is you find a group of trolls and you befriend them. And because you're friends with these trolls, you'll never be targeted. It's a way of kind of protecting yourself. Sorry, I've got a bit of a cold. Okay. I look at punching down as the same way. When people come to me and they complain and say you can't target these individuals, you're too big to do that, you need to go after somebody bigger than yourself. It seems more like what they're saying is, holy shit, if you go after this crazy autistic son of a bitch that likes foxes that shit in diapers, you're going to find out my crazy shit that I like. So if I stop you here, you won't make it far enough to laugh at me later on. And so it really annoys me. It seems like bullshit, and I just don't buy into the argument. They're acting like I'm, waging some kind of a holy war, or they're acting like I need to have some kind of higher purpose on the internet. At the end of the day, they're stupid YouTube videos. You're making YouTube videos and laughing at dumb shit. There's no great purpose to that.
You're right. And I'll tell you this, comedians have had that mentality for years now. Like, they've never wanted to not joke about a certain subject just because, we shouldn't touch that. Well, I'll say some comedians. Obviously, Amy Schumer is not a comedian, so I can't really say her, but...
No, she's a Canadian now, isn't she? Didn't she move up there already?
I don't think she moved. I think she was just saying that she was going to move, and then she...
So it's part of her act.
Kind of bullshitted her way back to the States. She's like, I kind of like the States still.
What? Amy Schumer lied? What?
Yeah, right? She lied? Isn't that shocking to you?
It's shocking. I'm appalled. I can't believe it. She's always struck me as the most honest person on earth.
I swear to God. She's just like who's that other chick who
Lena Dunham?
Lena Dunham, who raped her little sister.
Oh God,
charming woman, isn't she?
She really is. Yeah. Can you do a Jim? Can you do a deviant episode just on Lena Dunham?
Oh God, I haven't gotten to I guess incest yet, but when I
do, oh, that's gross. We have a question from Facebook. Jim, how big is your dick?
It's, you're gonna have to leave that to your imagination and just let the voice convince you if it says. I get that question all the fucking time. I have no
Yeah, that's exactly what a guy with a big dick would say.
It is. What, Jim? Do you drive? Because it really matters on what car you drive. That's what I've heard.
Do I drive? Yeah, I drive.
Okay, what do you drive? What's your car choice?
Is it a small car?
I drive a Pinto.
Pinto.
Because I like explosions.
Oh, okay.
With your Firestone tires.
Of course, you gotta be safe when you're on the road, and so I always load up my Pinto with some Firestones.
Make sure you watch out for some black ice, right?
That's right. Yeah, there you go.
Gross. Well, Jim, I want to can I come back in your history a little bit and ask you, about Gamergate, because obviously that was such a big, impactful moment of your internet career, as we'll say. Gamergate has changed the idea of how we report on different topics, and payola and plugola is a big thing in radio broadcasting and in television broadcasting. You exposed the fact that this psychotic woman was using herself as sex to sell her product. How do you feel about the effects of Gamergate today, and how the whole journalism community is taking it into consideration now?
Well, first you need to check your privilege. Zoe Quinn isn't a woman; he is a man. I don't know if you've heard the announcement.
Oh, really? Oh, she had a sex
Wait,
change.
is this true?
When did this happen?
No, Zoe has announced that Zoe wants to change from a beautiful butterfly.
Oh boy, well, I am just a xenophobe. I am just the worst kind of white male there is.
You are. You really are. It's terrible how much of a bigot you are for not knowing these facts about important people on the internet.
God, I'm so sorry.
With the Quinn thing that really annoyed me, and I think it annoyed a lot of people leading up kind of to Gamergate in the early days and kind of throughout it, was the notion that you had a lot of these video game websites that stopped covering gaming as an industry and started injecting opinion pieces into everything.
Yeah.
And that was obnoxious enough on its own, being told that you as an audience was worthless, that you were somehow at fault, that the games you liked were the wrong games to like, that the games you didn't buy should be the ones that you should buy, that you were just a terrible person. Overall, we don't want you as the audience, which is an absurd approach to take to whatever kind of industry you're in. But when you kind of add to that the information about Zoe and kind of this bizarre relationship that, it started with her and her boyfriend breaking up, and then the information that he released about how she had all these different industry connections, how she had sexual relationships or affairs with different people in different positions, whether they be journalists or developers or people at publishers, and just kind of the sordid details that were going on behind the scenes. And it made people angry. It made me angry. It made others angry.
Yeah.
That we're getting all this crap, being told how terrible we are, and then you turn around and these people are just banging each other for press. And it was annoying. And then you find out later on they've got secret groups where all these different websites and magazines talk to one another and kind of coordinate what kind of coverage they're going to be put. They're not even independent. They're all friends with each other. They all have the same mindset. They all, coordinate their narrative.
It's a fucking clique, basically.
It is. It's a clique that was run by really obnoxious people from San Francisco and really shitty indie developers. And why are they in charge? And you'd read stories about different people in the industry that just got into it, artists and graphical designers and stuff like that, who felt they couldn't create what they wanted to create because that's too sexist, that's too misogynistic, that's too xenophobic, that's too racist, that's not politically correct enough. And it just felt like your hobby was just getting crippled before you. Even kind of past Gamergate now where we are, you can see this happening in other industries. I mean, Christ, look at comic books.
Yeah.
Can you tell me, are there any white people left in comic books? Is everybody Latino and black and transgender and
Miles Morales?
Right? Like Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, none of them are there's no white dudes left anymore because everybody has been, put through the PC kaleidoscope and come out a different color and gender and orientation and religion and because they were told that's what makes the product good. Yeah. And what they're finding out is that's not what makes the product good. What makes the product good is a compelling story, an interesting character, good, development, that kind of stuff. And if they happen to be gay or Muslim or whatever, fine, that's great. But that's secondary to the core purpose of what your product is, which is a fucking good story.
Yeah.
And it felt like that was happening in gaming. So you had this corrupt group of people that all knew each other, fucked each other, did financial agreements with one another, and they were telling you were shit because you weren't buying their terrible indie crappy fucking product.
Yeah.
And that was infuriating. So kind of watching that grow up and kind of explode. And then even on the tail end of that, as Gamergate kind of quietly died down, and not that it's dead or anything, but that it wasn't as big as it was. It's kind of run its course. You had stuff like Thiel and Hogan going after Gawker and completely crushing Nick Denton because of their journalistic practices. And Gawker was one of the places that started this off with Kotaku. I mean, that's where Grayson worked, and he had the relationship with Zoe Quinn.
Mm-hmm.
So watching that kind of implode on itself was really a great capstone, I think.
And I don't want to come off with this opinion here because I don't want you to have your own opinion because of my opinion. But I feel like Gamergate, with the situation that happened there, it's kind of the same situation we're seeing now with the presidency and with the media. Would you agree?
I think what you're seeing right now take place is Trump was, when he was running, everybody thought it was, oh, this is great. We're going to get a few punchlines out of this. This guy's a joke. He's done it before. Nobody really takes it seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Then he started to get support, and they got a little bit worried. But they're like, it's not a big deal. He'll get destroyed in the primaries. We're going to have Jeb or something, with his little flock.
I know you voted for Jeb. I'm so sorry he didn't win, by the way.
I know. It's so sad that Jeb did not win.
I'm really sorry about it. Did you get your guac bowl, though?
Oh, God, no. I ordered a guac bowl, and all that showed up was a box full of blood and tears. So I don't know what's going on. It's probably not good.
That is not good.
It is similar. I would agree with you. It is similar in some regards. You've got a group of media personalities and organizations that talk to each other. We saw some of that with the Podesta email leaks that came through WikiLeaks, showing CNN talking to people in the DNC. You had different journalists kind of coordinating to shit on Trump or a narrative getting pushed forward. I mean, hell, what is it? Rachel Maddow on MSNBC when Trump, he'd won. He decided to go get a steak, right, at a restaurant. Didn't tell anybody. Just went with his security detail and a few people, had a steak. Well, Rachel Maddow puts a program up saying this is the most horrible thing that's ever happened. How dare Trump go to eat dinner without telling us?
Yeah.
He needs she used the phrase protective press pool to go out and eat. Like these people would ever take a bullet for anybody. Like what is that? What is a protective press pool? Is Rachel Maddow going to jump in front of a sniper bullet to protect Donald Trump? What the fuck are you talking about?
I can't even follow it up with that. Everything was so brilliantly said.
It was.
I know. Well, going back to what you said about superheroes, yeah. I mean, they're taking core characters, core flagship Marvel characters, and to some extent DC characters, and they're basically changing it up. It's not like they're creating. See, this is the real quote-unquote racist stuff here, is that they're not creating original superheroes who could be Muslim, black, et cetera, et cetera. What they're doing is that they're taking properties and they're switching around, kind of like gender bending, well, which they have also done too. But Jim, all I can say is that it's not to worry because they haven't made the Asian Bruce Wayne yet. So once they make that, we're gonna be sad.
No, but they did make the Asian Incredible Hulk.
They did.
Yeah.
Did they really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that. I actually didn't know that.
Yeah. He's like,
Man.
I mean, yeah. What is
That's
it? It's an Asian Incredible Hulk, Muslim Miss Marvel.
That's
Black
embarrassing.
female
Are you serious?
Yeah, black female Iron Man.
yeah.
A black male Captain America.
Ugh, God.
I don't. Spider-Man right now. What race and ethnicity are we on with Spider-Man?
Spider-Man's got to be
Like-
Arab. He has to be.
Dominican, black, or something like that, like hybrid. Well, not hybrid. I'm sorry, biracial. Excuse me.
You slipped up a little bit there.
Whoa,
Yeah.
that was
Excuse me.
embarrassing.
Little
Well, technically, he is a hybrid. He got bitten by the spider, so he's.
nice recovery. Yeah, that worked really well.
Nice recovery. Jim, can I go back on something you said before? You were talking about Podesta and his scandal. Can I ask you the honest question? Do you believe in Pizzagate?
Do I believe that there is a secret pedophile ring run out of the basement of a pizzeria in Washington?
Yeah.
Do I think that these individuals maybe have code words and that there's some kind of sex trafficking going on with people in politics and people in Hollywood and people with money? Yeah, I would almost guarantee it.
Okay.
People with political power and wealth usually are involved in some very heinous, corrupt shit. I mean, we've seen that play itself out in multiple governments throughout history. Some weird stuff in the Podesta emails. I can't discount it. but I'm not really abreast on Pizzagate. I can't tell you is it real or is it not. But I will say that of all the journalists that have tried to cover it, the majority just laughed at it and said, "This is complete bullshit. You're all psychotic. Why are you even paying attention to this?" And I feel terrible because I can't remember his name. I think he works for CBS or NBC, some kind of local. But one guy did a TV broadcast about it and actually covered it. And he didn't come out and say it's bullshit or it's true. He simply came out and said, "Okay, this is what we're looking at. These are the symbols involved. These are the people involved. These are the locations involved. And some of this stuff is really weird. I've seen some of the stuff people have talked about where, what is it, Elefante, or whatever the guy's name. I can't, I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember. He was the owner of what was it?
Comet Ping Pong.
Comet Ping Pong, yes.
Right. So he was the owner of the restaurant. In an interview, when people were saying, "Well, people are claiming that you have children in the basement or that some illicit activity is going on down there," he said, "We don't even have a basement here." And yet, in a previous news article where they had talked to him, he talked about how he stored all his tomatoes and his ingredients in the basement. So it's stuff like that makes you go, "Okay, that's kind of a little bit weird." Why the FBI releases this report talking about all these pedophile symbols, and they're all related to Comet Ping Pong and Besta Pizzeria, and they're all using these symbols. So yeah, I admit it's really bizarre. It's super bizarre, but I can't give you a definitive answer one way or another. But I like the shitstorm. It's fucking entertaining from my perspective. So
it is. You like that that juicy stuff that like just goes out and everybody goes crazy about.
I love chaos. That's part of the reason why I love Trump so much. I love watching people flip out. I love the chaos of them not being able to really handle the situation that's unfolding. So Trump is great for that.
So it's fair to say that you're a Trump supporter.
Well, I'll say what I said on the Metocast. I didn't vote for him because I had some objections to some of the planks that he had in his platform related to freedom of expression, kind of First Amendment stuff with the press. And my main thing was the NSA. I didn't like programs like the PRISM program that, different bills that got passed under both Bush and Obama. I felt we were kind of getting stripped of our rights. And his approach, or at least the answers that he'd given at the time, where he wasn't going to rescind them or reverse them, he liked them and he maybe even would expand on them. And so for me, I just couldn't go along with that. But as far as, all the candidates that were available from all the parties, yeah, I like Trump the most. I like how he just gets out there. I like he speaks his mind, and I love the chaos that unfolds because of him. I didn't vote this election. I'm one of those horrible fucking lazy bastards.
Really?
That has a fence post up his ass because he's straddling that motherfucker.
And maybe too many people will probably see you too. That's the problem too.
Well, no, and the other thing too is I said this back in, God, it must have been September, not last year, the year before. I mean, this was right when Trump was getting into it, that I was almost certain he was going to win. And I was certain he was going to win because I felt like he captured lightning. I felt like he was getting the support of individuals that were just sort of kind of ready, that they were in a rebellious mood. It went beyond like the Tea Party stuff. It went into almost we just don't fucking care anymore. We're sick of the establishment as it exists. We're sick of the corruption as it exists. And we want to see somebody go in there and just fuck it all up, target the people that we don't like. And I know Trump, he'd made some statements about draining the swamp, and a lot of people have problems with the people that he's appointed to positions because of the connections they have with different companies and corporations. But you have to admit, Trump got in there and he did a lot of the shit he said he was going to do. I mean, this guy's working fast through a lot of his promises and his executive orders.
And I don't even think it's been like 30. It hasn't even been 30 days.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. He's worked faster than any president I can honestly remember. It's really stunning to see how quickly he's moving through. And I like how the news reports, at first when he took office, were like, he'll never keep his promises. Trump is going to disappoint everybody. And now they're all upset. Is he obsessed? Why is Trump obsessed with keeping his promises? Like, make your mind up. Do you want him not to do them, or do you want him to do them?
No doubt. And, I'll be honest with you. I didn't even think he would do 1/10 of what he would do, at least until like maybe in the third month in. But he's moving so fast, and I'm wondering if that's just because that's how he works at a what's his company called, Trump or whatever. But the one question, I'm sorry, I have a list here, so I'm just a little distracted right now. I kind of wanted to jump topics a little bit because the one thing that I notice about you, and this is what I think, Jim, and maybe I'm wrong, But I think that you do have a career, right? I think you're currently in some sort of a position, right? And I think the question I'm going to ask is that if you were to switch careers, right? If you were to teach a subject at a high school, what would it be? And lunch is not an answer.
If I were to go into high school education, what subject would I want? I'd probably go with history or social studies, which
Yeah.
pretty much are the same thing. Let's be honest. You know what I mean? They kind of bounce back and forth, but um, that's kind of the interest that I would have. I would think. I'm not great at science and I'm not great at math, so I'd be fucking horrible as your teacher at those subjects. So if I had to go with one, social studies, civics, or history.
You couldn't see yourself teaching gym?
No, no.
not to be ironic.
No, I would be the guy that would let just kids fuck off all day. You know, like I'd be like, whatever. You're in high school. At this point, you can do whatever the fuck you want. I'm gonna go have a cigarette, run some. I don't, play some shooty hoops.
Shooty hoops.
Yeah. You guys go do your sport thing. I'm gonna go just have a smoke. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Jim, speaking of smoke, because you smoke a lot, I know. From what I've heard, I don't know for a fact. Do you smoke a lot?
Yeah. I mean, your typical average smoker. I smoke Camels. It'll bite me in the ass one day, but I'm well aware of it.
I'm trying to get to know Jim more. I don't think from all these interviews that I've seen online, people don't usually get into the mindset of Jim, and it bothers me because I want to know more about the guy who's behind the microphone.
I'm the most average person you could imagine. If I was walking down the street, I'd be like background noise. Like I'm just another face in the crowd kind of guy.
Oh, see, because I thought you would be the guy with the face makeup and the eyeliner.
Yeah, wearing a giant white aristocrat wig as I strut down the street.
I'm sorry, Jim. Can I just cut in and say that when I first saw your videos, I really thought whenever you set this whole thing up, when you're writing, I actually really did envision you in your wig, like a blue gown, and just go ahead and just making your videos as you go along as the internet aristocrat.
Yeah, the internet aristocrat. The channel started as a joke. You know who Gilbert Godfrey is?
Yes.
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah, he's got a joke, The Aristocrats, which is, it's a punchline where it starts off tame and it ends tame, but in the middle is the most horrendous shit you can imagine. And so that was the whole point of the Internet Aristocrat. I did videos where the beginning would be very tame, and the ending would be very tame, but then the middle content would be just fucking crazy. And that's why it's called an Internet Aristocrat. The only reason I changed it later on is I started doing Tumblrisms, and for some reason all these people on Tumblr thought I had this self-image that I was important and I was a real aristocrat. So I was like, well, I'll fuck with them.
Oh boy.
And I'll find a picture of it and go with it. So that's where that came from.
That is the most sick joke, by the way. I will say it is one of the most. There's no comedy to it. It's dark comedy, and I think that really wraps around the idea of what your whole channel is supposed to be. It's kind of dark comedy.
I like the I can't really say the early days of the internet because then we'd be talking bulletin boards and
we'd be talking AOL and shit. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess
and docs.
Kind of very late '90s to kind of mid 2000s.
Okay.
Right. That's kind of right. Yeah. So basically, it starts almost at the beginning of Something Awful and then kind of ends near the beginning of 4chan. And that seemed like a really good kind of sweet spot where people were having enough fun fucking with each other and laughing at really stupid shit, and nobody was super hypersensitive about it. There wasn't a huge social media presence, and it was just fun. I feel like the internet's not fun anymore. Everybody's so up their own ass. It's really bizarre. You can't joke about certain things anymore. Even YouTube. There's certain things that are forbidden now on YouTube that in the early days you could do and nobody would have given a shit. And I think that's kind of what you're seeing going on with PewDiePie, which I think is funny as shit, is he's kind of pointing that out with his recent videos, kind of mocking all these news organizations and different YouTubers that are getting upset with him making jokes and being hypersensitive about it. Because really, again, at the end of the day, what is it? It's some dude on an internet website making 10-minute video. How is that important? Why are we fighting over this?
Yeah. I mean, Jim, you've created such breakthrough content, I should say. Where do you get the ideas from? Where does it come from?
It's all the same stuff, really. At the end of the day, it's looking at a retarded group of people on the internet and laughing at how retarded they are. It may be put on a different heading, it may be grouped onto something like a specific website or a different group, but at the end of the day, it really is just laughing at stupid shit on the internet. That's what I find the most entertaining. And then I think that's what people who watch them, watch the videos, find entertaining too. You know, a lot of my videos too, kind of early on, were dealt with like a lot of the SJW stuff. You know, social justice warriors that kind of led into the Gamergate thing. I've kind of pulled away from that. Not that I find that those people aren't obnoxious as shit, or that I don't think they're a problem anymore, but like everybody's doing it now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I feel like, okay, well, you know, it's kind of covered. So what am I going to do? I'm just going to go back to the shit that I really enjoyed, which is just mocking stupid shit on the internet. That's kind of why I transitioned back into deviance.
Speaking of the YouTube channel itself, you're about to cross 100,000 subscribers. It's a massive milestone. I think the current live count is 93,836.
He's a big statistic guy, by the way, I should say. He's a big statistic guy, but go ahead.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it means that basically the silver play button. What does that mean to you?
Nothing. I'm just going to put in the address for a homeless shelter and a fake name so they can sell it.
Wow.
Are you serious? So
I mean,
what are the homeless kid going to do with a silver play button to you?
I don't know. See, that's funny to me though. Exactly. They'll probably pawn it off for a couple bucks and get some liquor.
Send it to a Syrian refugee shelter.
Oh my God.
Really, what does that mean to me? It means nothing. You know, 10 years from now, what am I going to say to somebody when they look at the wall and say, "What the fuck is that?" Well, I was a semi big deal on YouTube. What the fuck is YouTube? I used to talk into a microphone for 20 minutes about people shitting into diapers. So that's the point I got.
You brought up the diaper thing a lot. I feel like the diaper thing has scarred you.
Well, I think that, you know, and again, this kind of goes back to the cycles of the internet itself, but there are a lot of groups out there that are really weird and that people would kind of put fun at and have a laugh about that kind of fell out of favor because other things got focused on more.
Yeah.
And now if you go back and talk about it, people get really pissed off because they're like, dude, we've been so under the radar for so long. Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
And it's funny. Like, yeah, you want to pretend you're a 4-year-old fox and shit in diapers. That is fucking funny to me. I don't know why you're surprised by that.
I mean, you're right. It is very fucked up. There's no going about it. There really isn't. And the fact that not many people know about it and you're bringing it into the limelight is great. It really is. It's a great deal of because people don't know where these areas of comedy are, and you're finding them and you're exposing them. And I guess this is just the originality of you. You were able to take these topics that are just so bizarre and bring them out into the light and in such a way that it's entertaining to watch throughout even a 25-minute video.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain stuff too that I like to talk about that's not, I guess, comedy focused or that I would find entertaining. Like I've done videos on somebody like Nick Bates, who is the convicted pedophile that was into corpophilia. I mean, his legal strategy, and this is funny, but he thought he could get off the charges for pedophilia by masturbating on camera while smearing himself in shit.
Yeah, I did read this on Encyclopedia Dramatica, but go ahead.
Right, and that's insane. So I did a video on that because I found it interesting. I've done videos on stuff like I can't even remember his name anymore, Howard something, but the dentist who would perform procedures on kids without any anesthetic.
Yeah, we did it. We did talk about that on the show here before.
Stuff like that occasionally gets my interest, and I'll cover it, or I'll do like a one-off, like the We Was Kings thing. Where
did you find that photo?
That is true. Where did you find that photo?
Which one, the Das Ray one, or
the one you changed your photo to? That you are now king of what was it, Africa or something?
Yeah. No, that was just that floated around for a while as part of kind of a joke related to it, and then I threw it on there because I thought it was funny. But yeah, that group, like that's so fucking crazy. Like you hear a lot of people make jokes about Nazis and white supremacists, but you don't really ever hear about black supremacy. You don't really hear about like the Black Israelites and groups like that, and they are fucking insane.
They are
like they are just crazy. Like the whole. We were created by a big-headed scientist and white people lived in caves shit. Like, it's insane.
Jim, I live in New York. I see that all the time.
Yeah. Brooklyn especially. You'll find them in the trees.
But anybody outside of, like, the Northeast, right, isn't going to know who the fuck those people are.
Right.
Like, they've never heard of it. And like, it's just so crazy. Like, seeing a black guy wearing a Star of David yelling at a Jew, telling him the Holocaust didn't happen, is bonkers. And he's like, we're the real Jews. You're not really a Jew. And the Holocaust didn't happen. And then he goes, we're glad it happened. He just wanted to be
Oh man.
I'll just say this though, my favorite Metokur streams are the ones where, whenever there's like an anti-police protest happening in the inner cities, and people just want to, hey, just want to just let their voices be heard, and they're burning it down, and you do these streams, and what's so crazy is that you're not really like, quote unquote, let's say exposing like all of them, but what you're doing is that you're just showing these channels, and you say, okay, this is what's happening. So that's good stuff, and it's funny. I love your color commentary. Like what you said, something like the coffin's filled with chicken wings or grape juice or something like that. I don't know what.
Yeah. At the Justice for So in Minnesota there was a guy, Jamar Clark, I think it was, that basically got shot by cops, and they were trying to say that he was handcuffed. The cops threw him on the ground and shot him in the back of the head because they hate black people. Yeah. Turns out he's got a criminal record. He's a liar, and the reason the cops were there was he was beating his girlfriend, and he went after the cops. But they were having protests in relation to this, and God, was it Jamar? There's so many of them, I lose track. But basically, it was somebody talking about somebody talking about the victim and saying that his friend Little Chicken Wing was coming down.
Oh my God! Yes, I remember this.
That's what it was.
Yeah. It's crazy shit. What really surprises me about a lot of these like protests, I even saw this yesterday at the Portland airport. There's a video about this. You get all these groups that go out and they're like, the news covers it and they say how they're these peaceful protests and how these people are so upstanding and nothing bad happened. Mm-hmm. But you watch the live streams and they're always attacking the cops. They're always throwing fireworks at them. They're chucking bricks and rebar off of bridge overpasses on their heads. In Portland at the airport, they found the group of protesters chased a guy down and beat him in an airport, spit on him, screamed Nazi at him, and were laughing about it.
Yeah.
And then after that, I swear to God, within 30 seconds, they start chanting peaceful protest. And you never hear about that on the mainstream media, and that blows my mind. Why aren't you covering that? Like Jamar Clark, the same thing happened there. They said these were peaceful protests, but then you watch the actual live coverage of them going on. They're throwing Molotov cocktails. They're popping cart tires. They're blocking off interstates. They're attacking people. They're attacking cops. They're defacing property. And it's just amazing. If you watch it live while it's happening, you get a better idea of what's really going on.
It's really,
absolutely.
It really is disgusting, though, the way they act and the way they think they're doing good for the community when they're breaking down a Starbucks or they're looting a police car.
Yeah, that makes no sense to me. If you're a member of the black community and there's some injustice you think that's happened, how is burning down your local neighborhood going to help you? No. Like, you're hurting store owners that live in your neighborhood. These are black-owned businesses, so you're not hurting the man. You're not going to the governor's mansion. You're not going to the police station. You're burning down a McDonald's and a gas station and a Starbucks owned by some dude who works his ass off to try to support his family. Like, what are you doing?
We need our community. You know, that whole thing.
Yeah, it's just
we need our weed. Go burn the suburbs.
Oh yeah. That was the sister. That was the sister. One of the people that they were saying was a victim of injustice. She was like, I need my hair weaves and I smoke my marijuana. Go burn the suburbs down. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Oh,
Jim, a lot of your ideology is kind of very conservative. So some people would say. Do you consider yourself a conservative, a Republican, or more Republican, or do you consider yourself more liberal, or do you consider yourself in the middle? Because I personally am in the middle. I'm an independent. So
usually, what I just tell them is I'm a constitutionalist, and that just they don't know what the fuck that means. So I'm like, okay, whatever. I typically lean right. At least as far as economy goes. Like, I like conservative policies when it comes to kind of economics.
Okay.
My approach to civil liberties. Like, when you're talking about freedom of expression and stuff, I think everybody should be protected equally under the Constitution. I think that's a pretty basic idea. And my notion as far as individuals and how they behave is, if you have a sense of humor, I'm probably going to get along with you. I don't, people bring this up with transsexuality, right? They're like, what's your opinion on that? Like, well, I think it's crazy, personally. But I don't give a shit what you do to your own body. It'd be like me going up to some guy with tattoos and saying, hey, what the fuck do you think you're doing? Like, it's your body, man. If you want to do shit to it, knock yourself out. I'm pretty hands off when it comes to personal civil liberties. Mm-hmm. Most of my politics comes from a national level, economy, security, and things of that nature.
So would you say you're kind of like with me when it comes to abortion, where it's like, let the girl decide, or are you the opposite?
I don't think like
Obviously, that's a harder question to ask. I mean, it's not just a yes or no question. That has a lot of background to it. But I mean, that's how I'm feeling from your idea
well, yeah.
of
If I had
politics.
to put it like this, I'd say, I've done fucked up shit in my life. I'm not the best person on earth, so I'm probably
Yeah.
not the moral authority on what a woman should be doing. At the same time, I don't think that I should be financing it either.
Okay.
I know like one of the big arguments when it comes to abortion is, okay, if you want to give, if you want to be pro-choice, fine, but why am I financing it? And then the counter argument to that is, well, they give men Viagra pills. Well, okay, don't give men Viagra pills. I don't give a shit. So guys don't have boners, and I'm not paying for you to get babies scraped out of your stomach.
Ugh.
Like,
Oh my god. Ugh. Graphic, Jim. Graphic. We know you're a visualist. No, I'm just kidding. Jesus Christ. All right.
Well, anyway, to kind of get like the real idea of you, Jim, right? I know that in a stream from a long time ago, I think you said in a Q&A that one of your favorite, or at least your favorite Final Fantasy was Tactics, which I'll have to agree. Tactics and 6 are my top because I feel like there's no other combat game that's very similar to Tactics. And I was wondering if you got a chance to play Final Fantasy 15. What were your thoughts on it? Do you feel it's gotten a little more weebunized? Like, is it the same that you'd expect from Squeenix?
I got so much shit for posting I went out and rented it. Apparently, you can still rent games. Like if you go to Redbox.
That's a joke. Are you serious?
No. I went and rented it at Redbox for like $2, and
Next you're gonna tell me Blockbuster's fucking on-demand service is still around.
I know, right? It's crazy, but I felt like I overpaid for the $2. To be honest, like I hated 15. I fucking hated it.
I agree with you. It was too like I mean, not just the fact that it's from a DV's departure from the whatever it came to be. Basically, what Final Fantasy 15 is that it was just it was like a J-Rock band tour. It was like, I don't know, Jim. Like I really can't put my finger on it, but it was I wasn't into it. I didn't even finish it. I went up to chapter 3, and that's as far as I made it. And that was it.
It felt schizophrenic to me. Like I started. Okay, so you start the game, and what do you get? You get like maybe a half a minute, maybe 30 seconds to 45 seconds of a cutscene where the king is like, "Okay, get in your car and go on a gay road trip." And then, what the fuck am I doing? Why am I going? Why am I driving out into the desert? Like, what the fuck? You get more story elements from the loading screens than you did from that cutscene. You go off into the desert, and here. Explain this to me. You're the fucking prince of a kingdom, right? So you're Prince Noctis or whatever. You're supposed to be rich. You've got a fancy car, but your fucking car breaks down after 5 minutes. You can't call your dad and be like, "Send me another car." So you stop at a gas station, and this hillbilly chick is like, "Y'all want to go kill some shit?" So you're like, "Yeah, why not? I'm wearing pure fucking leather. Let me run out in the fucking sun for."
God.
You go kill some shit. You come back. You get your car fixed. And you're like, "Okay, all right, whatever." So this is where the game really starts. And then what do you find out? The fucking car is on rails. You built an entire game around the notion of free travel, and the fucking car is stuck on the road. Basically, it's hold the button to go. That's where I put the controller down, and I was like, "Fuck this, I'm done."
It's true, and I was saying to myself, "Wow, it took it was a decade, it was 10 years, and that's not just including the hiatuses that's in between. I mean, this really took 10 years from concept to execution. I mean, this game started off as supposed to be for last gen consoles, and you can kind of tell that it was pretty it was kind of outdated a little bit. The environments are really bland, and when you go play in the game, you say to yourself, what the hell is this is a waste of my time.
And Jim, I'm not gonna even ask you what you thought of No Man's Sky, because clearly we know your opinion.
Yeah, I that shit. I got pulled into a stream with the developer, Dino Dan or whatever. I don't know the fuck.
Oh, did you actually talk to him?
Yeah. No, I didn't talk to Sean Murray. I talked to another developer, a guy that makes video games, and he was upset that I was making fun of Sean Murray. And I got into this conversation with him, which is funny. I don't know if I'm not going to tell you to go watch it because I'm not like that feels weird to say, but there's a portion of it where I'm talking to him, and basically his argument is, well, making video games is special. There's no other industry like it that exists. We're special individuals, and you need to basically believe and trust in us. I know he's this delusional shit because Sean Murray is this shitheel that lied to people and basically hoodwinked them.
Yeah.
But I was like, well, who do you blame then for this kind of stuff? And he actually says the publishers are the people that are the problem. And I kid you not, within like 2 minutes of him saying that, he gets a phone call and he answers it on stream and he goes, "Oh, can you hold on for a second? It's my publisher." So I think he got yelled at from, I think it was Sony or whoever the fuck it is, for actually saying that they were the assholes ruining video games.
Oh my god!
Wow.
Holy shit! I mean, Jim. I mean, what is a game that intrigues you?
I just like, I will play shit that people. I play video games that I know are terrible, but I have fun with them. I like Ace of Spades. Fucking horrible video game. There's nobody playing it, but I put like 600 goddamn hours into it. I like games that have multiplayer. I used to be really big into single player RPGs, but I feel like that age is kind of past.
Are you a GTA guy?
Like I'm sorry, am I what?
A GTA guy. Grand Theft Auto.
San Andreas was kind of where my love affair with GTA kind of died out. I didn't like 4. 5 was okay.
Okay.
You know, like I didn't have problems with it, but San Andreas, I think, was kind of like the swan song for it. I don't know. I like games where I can kind of jump in, play with other people, and get lost in it. Like Ace of Spades, this is crazy, but the typical match length in one of those, like classic Capture the Flag, is an hour and a half long.
Oh, God.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, right. So my autism is heavy. So maybe not opinions on video games, but yeah, 15 was terrible. They should have called it Final Fantasy Forever because it was a fucking Duke Nukem.
Well, Jim, as long as you're able to hide your autism, that's what I've learned from your last video.
Well, and the crazy thing is, like, people kept saying, like, oh, it's going to be kind of like 12 was. You know, you're going to be able to run in this open world and encounter monsters and have these random battles, and it's going to be great because, it's going to be structured like that. And then all I remember before I got in my gay little car that only goes straight was I ran into like 4 enemies. Like, I'm running around the place and I was like, where the fuck are the bad guys? Like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, and I think they all put Tetsuya Nomura on like this big pedestal, and I don't discredit the man for being a game developer, but the whole direction between 13 and 15, of course, the online series, which I feel, in my opinion, they should not be in numerical or anything like that, because Final Fantasy has always been at its core like a single player RPG that you enjoy.
Right.
But it was. 10, all right, it's whatever. 12, I appreciate it for what it was. I loved 9. I mean, I started off in the PS1 days. I'm a millennial, so what the hell? And then, then I went backwards to like 6 and all that stuff, and then Tactics, of course. And, those were some of my favorites. And that kind of era of RPG, I think that kind of golden age really got lost. And I'm not just talking about those RPGs. I'm talking like old school Fallout and Fallout 2, where decisions actually mattered in games, et cetera, et cetera. And now when they market these, hey, you're going to make these great choices and everything like that, it's really not what it's promised. I didn't enjoy Fallout 4. Metal Gear Solid 5 even, that wasn't, I wasn't even a big fan of that.
Will, let me ask you, Will, what's your game of choice right now?
My game of choice right now?
Yeah.
It's actually a Facebook game, believe it or not.
Oh, fuck you. All right. Anyway.
You went to Prison Architect for a while from what I remember.
Yeah, Prison Architect was the last game I played on PC.
Are you more of a PC gamer, Mr. Metokur?
Yeah, I used to be really big into consoles, but I feel like that age kind of died off around the PS3, to be honest. Like 360 had a decent assortment, but like my golden age, I guess, and don't get me wrong, like NES and Sega, the Genesis, that kind of stuff, they all had really great games, but I think the golden age was kind of like PS1 and PS2, like those libraries combined.
Yeah. I
had some of the greatest, like you had stuff that was like just niche stuff that was really good, like the Dot Hack series. You had stuff
yes,
like Valkyrie Profile and Xenogears and Legend of Legaia and Legend of Dragoon, and you had these games that were really, really grandia, like these great games that are never going to be made in this day and age. And when you put those libraries together, you've got some real gems to choose from. After kind of like PS3, 360 era, I got into PC gaming, and I've really enjoyed it because I got to look at like the back catalog of the PC stuff that I never had a chance to get into, like Planescape Torment and stuff like that. A lot of the D&D games. But yeah, I'm mostly a PC guy now, to be honest.
Nice. Did you mod your computer or anything like that, or you have the shittiest computer ever? I'm guessing.
I had my previous computer died, and I thought
I
it was
heard
going to be
that.
gone.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought I was going to be gone for a long time. My girlfriend ended up surprising me, and she bought me like components to fix it. So I got.
How is the Asian girl, right?
Yeah, that's right. The Asian girl, the one in the cornfield. Yeah.
How is she, by the way? I forgot to ask in the beginning.
She's okay when I let her in the house, but it's hard for her to get through the doggy door.
Oh my god.
Oh god.
Oh man.
Did you have any dinner, Mr. Jim? What's going on?
No. She's doing fine. But yeah, she picked out the components and stuff, and computer up and running. It's got a better graphics card now, so I can actually play some of the stuff that I couldn't before. So I've been having fun with that. Like, recently I'm playing Resident Evil 7. So
Oh my God, Jim! I just finished it. It's amazing. I actually liked it. It's a step back to what I mean is step back. I mean in a positive way. Like it goes back to what it's meant to be. And now, not enough enemies, but hey, whatever. It's at least getting there.
Don't spoil it.
Right, Jim, did you beat it yet or no?
No, I'm only about an hour into it.
All right, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I've only been able to play a little bit of it. I don't know yet. I do like it. I think it's got a really fucking great atmosphere.
Yeah.
It sets the mood really, really well. But I haven't really gotten into like a lot of combat, and I haven't really gotten into I don't know, puzzle solving, that kind of stuff yet.
Were you always a fan of Resident Evil at least? Like, do you have a favorite out of the series?
Yeah, I really, really love Resident Evil. I liked number 1 and 2 probably equally as much. Those are my two favorites. And I also really like the early Silent Hill games, like 1 through 3. I really fucking love those.
Yeah.
Fatal Frame 2 was a really great series, like Fatal Frame 1 and 2. Fucking amazing.
So you've also played the Dot Hack series too, like so you were same thing here. So I went to the used section of GameStop. I got like every single niche RPG that I could find. That's kind of how it was.
What's crazy to me is I can't remember if Dot Hack is Namco or Bandai, but I mean they're merged now. Why the hell is that not a game that's actually been made to be an MMO? Like that game is actually deserving of it, and it would be really fucking cool with the mechanic of how you chose the randomly generated play areas. Like that could be huge. I don't know why they haven't taken that property and done something with it.
Well, listen, Jim, they still make Digimon, so
there you go.
Yeah. I heard Pokemon's gonna be a big smash.
Oh yeah, Pokemon Stars. Oh yeah, actually, Jim, this would be a good segue into your thoughts on the Nintendo Switch. Actually, between the awkward. Well, I'm not even going to say it. I mean, I'll let you take the reins, Jim.
Yeah, I get like people hate my opinions because they think I shit on everything, and they're probably right. But the Nintendo Switch seems like a fucking disaster waiting to happen.
Really? You feel that? Okay, here's the honest truth. I kind of contemplated of buying it. I'm going to be the honest truth. I'm going to be that cuck. I promise.
Why don't you cut out the middleman and just burn your fucking money in a pile? Because you're going to get this damn experience at the end of the day.
Well, I did own a 3DS though, so I don't know. I kind of like the idea.
3DS is fine. Like, here's my problem with the Switch. I feel like Nintendo has become too greedy for their own good. The prices of the controllers are ridiculous. If you want to get 2 of the Switch controllers and you need to buy them separately, you can get them as a bundle for $80. And you want to get the charging handle, that's another $30 or $40. So for one functioning Switch controller, right, put together and completely working, and we'll charge your actual, Switch Joy-Cons.
Yeah.
It's $110, $120. That is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
A Pro controller is what, $70 or $80?
And it literally is just an Xbox controller.
Yeah, and here's my problem with this. We've seen Nintendo take this path. Like, they always talk about how they're these great innovators, but what they really are peripheral salesmen. Starting with the Wii, like all these different straps and all these different add-on devices, that was their main target for selling to you. With the Wii U, they got into basically they're glorified USB sticks. What the fuck are the little statues that everybody went crazy? Amiibo.
Hey, can I just point something out though? Anthony did buy a Wii U, and I'm going to say that on the air.
No, I bought the Wii U because I love Smash Brothers, right? I bought that. There were some good games that are on the Wii U, but now with the news about the Switch and everything like that, I mean, what games are when they said Mario Kart was coming out for the Switch, I'm like, oh, good, the new Mario Kart, and I was like, wait a second, I went on Wikipedia and I'm like, no, this is the same Mario Kart. It's just a rehash. So, I mean, if you don't have a Wii U, I would say the only advantage to the Switch is that you can play Zelda, but you could just get you can get a Wii U for really cheap and still play Zelda on. I mean, the Switch can't even handle 1080, 60 frames per second, which in my opinion should be the standard.
Yeah, but I'll give you an idea of how much I think the Wii U is shit. The Switch is shit. I own a Wii U, and even I won't buy a Switch.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Right. So, like, if I want to play Zelda, I'll just get it on the Wii U. And the Wii U had fucking nothing. Like this happens every time. They're like, "Oh, Nintendo's going to finally have third-party support, put out more first-party games," and they never fucking do.
Yeah.
No.
And looking at the Switch with all the overpriced peripherals for it, looking at the fact that they're including a non-charging controller holder for your Joy-Cons, looking at the fact that it looks like it's almost a little bit underpowered compared to the Wii U, maybe when it's undocked. Like they don't. What are they selling it as? I mean, it's a portable that's too fucking big to carry with you, and it's an underpowered console.
Yeah.
So like they pick the worst of both worlds, in my opinion, to kind of merge them together. It's weird.
Yeah.
And Jim, I live in New York City, so how am I going to be the audience in this? Because if I have that shit in the A train, I'm going to get jacked, Jim. Like this is unfair. So this is just not
And
gonna
Will lives in
work out.
Will lives in a really bad area of the UK. Like, how
He
is he
lives
going to
among them.
survive with all of his sheep around and stuff?
It's horrendous.
Well, and here's the craziest thing to me. Okay, so they're talking about how portable it is, right?
Yeah.
But then they're talking about how each Joy-Con has different functions. Like they've got the IR sensor or whatever, the motion sensor on the right one.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I'm using a portable device, if I'm on the bus, or if I'm sitting somewhere waiting to go to class or go to work or where the hell I am out and about, am I going to pull off these fucking Joy-Cons and then start making eating motions towards them? I'm going to look fucking retarded. and people lose stuff. People lose stuff so easily. How many styluses do you think people lost on their 3DS?
You're right.
yeah,
I lost
you're
that thing all the time. I actually lost the
I don't
3DS
even have one.
itself.
My finger.
Yeah, so what are you going to do when you lose a Joy-Con controller and it costs you $40 to replace it? Yeah, I don't have a lot of faith in it. And then when I saw the lineup of games that are coming out, like for the launch window and the months kind of coming after it, they don't have anything. Like they've got Zelda, and you could argue maybe Bomberman would be fine. And then I Am Setsune or whatever it is, which is out on I think it's on the PC.
Yeah.
And then all the other stuff are indie games that came out 4 or 5 years ago. Like they're talking about like Goo World and shit. So what am I buying the console for? I'm buying it for a game I could play on the Wii U and ports of fucking indie games that have been out for 5 years.
Yeah, but Jim, you could play Coming to America Mario Edition this November.
You mean Eddie with starring Eddie Murphy? Is that what you're trying to say?
Sorry, Mario. At New Donk City.
Right, and that's the craziest thing, though, isn't it? I mean, yeah, coming this November. You want to wait 7 months to play a game on the system that you bought for $300?
And that's around the time they're going to implement the online pay too, because I think the online will be a free service for the first 6 months.
Would anybody put up with that from Sony or Microsoft? Would anybody put up with it if Microsoft or Sony said, you need to pay us $10 per month to use our service, but if you want to do voice chat and group chat with people online, you're going to need to use a smartphone app? They'd be like, go fuck yourself. What are you talking about?
I did see the specs recently. They just released them recently, and they do have a headphone jack, combo mic jack, so you can plug in to it like headset wise. But the fucked up thing is that the headphone jack, headset combo jack, is on top of the console. So now when you're playing it mobile, the wire is going over the screen.
Right. Yeah. The design philosophy behind. Like, I don't even like the bevel. Why is there like it's an inch bevel on each side?
You're right.
What
It's
the hell is that about?
2017. There should be no bevel. That's the case. It's 2017,
Yeah,
and they're using LCD screens too.
The thing that really screws me up is what is the cost going into? Because if those Joy-Cons are selling for $40 or $50 a piece, and the console itself is shipping for $300, that means basically that the Joy-Cons were $100 of the console price at market.
Yeah.
So it's really a $200 console. It's $200 worth of technology in it. That's why you've got a beveled screen, and it's using a Tegra X1 or whatever, and it's got a 2.5-hour battery life. Like Nintendo does great handhelds. I can't deny that. They have great libraries for their handhelds, but I don't know if this is going to work well for them. I don't know if they're going to find that the support for their handhelds from third-party companies is going to transition over to the Switch and pick up the slack.
And I hate the fact that they always say, "Oh, we sold out on the pre-order," when they only had 70 in stock.
Yeah, I love the pre-order. You're always going to get pre-order people. I mean, even the Wii U sold, what was it, 15 million over its life cycle?
Yeah,
So
but they're
he's
only,
telling-
like they've been doing this thing. They even did this with the fucking Nintendo. What was it? The Nintendo Retro with like when they came out with that little 30 game console. They did this thing where like they had the console out for like maybe 30 people can buy it. Like maybe it was very limited. They're doing the same thing for the pre-order with this console. And
Well, yeah,
it's just disgusting that they're marketing this as just Oh, it's sold out. Everybody wants to buy it.
Yeah, it's trying to create hype, but I think the Wii U example with the 15 million over the life cycle, Nintendo has a dedicated fan base that will buy anything from them. You could have a Japanese man shit in a box and put Nintendo on it. Somebody would buy it.
Is that a new is that a new fetish we're gonna hear on Deviant?
That's just a Japanese.
What are these hints?
Yeah, but I don't buy the sold out stuff. I mean, that's any console's going to do that. Sony, Microsoft, if you put it out in limited quantities, you're always going to have that hardcore fan base of a couple million people. They're going to snatch up pre-orders. That doesn't impress me. And what'll impress me is when it's actually in stock in stores and it's past the first month, is anybody buying it? Is anybody picking it up? I don't think it's, I think Nintendo is approaching what Sega kind of ran into, where they're pushing out technology that isn't where it needs to be, when they're juggling too many things that they shouldn't be doing, and they don't have, kind of the support network they need to have. Nintendo's got a bank account Sega didn't have. That's the only real difference, I think. But I think they're making some really fucking bad mistakes right now, and I don't understand the people in charge in Japan. I don't know what is going through their head. It's like they don't understand what they're doing anymore. It feels like they've kind of lost the path.
Yeah. Well, that's why PC gaming's all the rage now. That's why everybody wants to customize their own console to the way they want to run it.
Well, I'll put it like this. I can go on Steam and I can play Danganronpa, I can play Disgaea. All the Tales games are on it. Final Fantasy games are on it. Like all those titles that usually would be only on the console are coming over to PC, and they've started with the backlog. They're getting all the older titles out of the way, but now the newer ones are coming out. You've got Guilty Gear from Arc System, stuff like that. So a lot of the charm that was console ownership of getting these games that, well, why would they ever go to PC, is kind of disappeared. So it really puts the onus on first and third party developers to really make some great stuff. And they do occasionally, but it feels like they're few and far in between. And, I think with the Wii U, I enjoyed maybe Xenoblade Chronicles X.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you want to compare that to Final Fantasy 15, it blows it out of the fucking water as far as like and enemy encounters go. But I can't name more than maybe 4 or 5 titles on the Wii U that I thought were really good, and that kind of extends to the PS4 and the Xbox One. I can't name a lot of games and say like, oh my god, this is why you need to buy this. And it feels like consoles as a whole kind of have been like, what the fuck is going on?
No, you're definitely right about flagship titles. I think that's kind of what we're alluding to.
Jim, can you see yourself making games?
Oh no, I don't know how to program. I'm not an artist. I can't voice act. I'm not a great writer.
Okay,
like,
you are an artist. Don't say you're not an artist. You are an artist.
I don't have any of the necessary traits to even begin working on a game.
No.
And with my video release schedule, I'd tell you like I'll have a game out in 2018, and by 2030 it would show up.
Gym time.
Oh yeah,
yes,
you'll be like Hideo Kojima.
Yeah, so going into game development is never going to happen.
You'll be on gym time. You'll be like a year later.
Yeah, right.
All right, what kind of game would you make though if you had all the skills? If you had the GoFundMe, the Patreon, if you were sleeping with developers, what kind of game would you make?
I don't know. I have a friend named
You're sleeping with developers.
I'm sleeping with publishers. I'm sorry.
Sorry. I wasn't ready for that one. Go ahead. Sorry,
it's
Jim.
Monday night.
Sorry, Jim. Go ahead.
Well, I've got a friend online, Nervatel. We kind of had a conversation about like what would be a fun game to us if we could make one. Mm-hmm. The basic premise would be like a multiplayer, an online multiplayer game. I don't know how you'd structure it. I don't know if it would be with a set amount of time or a set amount of people, but the basic notion is you're set into a town full of NPCs, and one person is a serial killer and the other person is on the police force. And that's the entire game, is they've got to try to catch you with evidence. So you have the objective of going out at night and murdering NPCs in innovative ways, and they have to gather the evidence to figure out who the fuck you are.
Nice. Adult only.
Adult only. Yeah, that would be fun to me.
I like it.
That's pretty damn good. You see, you have to edit this part out because now some asshole out there is going to be like,
Yeah, you're right.
I hope some asshole does do it.
That's true. Okay.
Jim, it really amazes me that you really don't want to monetize on anything that you produce. And it's shocking to me just because I'm a filmmaker myself, and I love the fact that you don't want to profit off this. You just think it's fun. You just love it for itself. And it's great. It's so refreshing to hear that from somebody.
Yeah, I enjoy it as a hobby for what it is. I never went down the monetization route because I didn't really think of it in that regards. I know a lot of people that do. I don't have a problem with people doing it. Like Red Letter Media does it. I think their shit's great. Your Movie Sucks does it. I think his videos are great. So there are a lot of people out there that make content and they monetize and they make money off it. And I'm like, that's perfectly fine. You make good shit. Why wouldn't you? I think part of my hesitation from it is I started when YouTube was young, and that was never even an idea, and anybody said that they'd make money off of it. And then the other part of it is you see so many people now making money off the internet, but they do it from whining and bitching. Like, oh my god, I'm so oppressed. Give me money, and it just feels like I don't want to be that.
Yeah, I really want you to make like a Patreon or like a what is it, a GoFundMe about like, you know, my needs by Jim or something.
You know, if someday I set up a Patreon, I'll tell you what'll happen. I'll get maybe about 25 cents. That's about where I'm going to be sitting. I'll get a nice stick of Wrigley gum out of it. That's
Jim just wants to buy a gumball. Can you please let that happen? Donate to Patreon. Oh man.
You know, the funny thing too with Patreon is the people that are making the real money are the porn artists. I think the two, like the top 3 people on Patreon right now are porn artists, and they're making like $30,000 a month.
Oh my god.
It's crazy.
That's what I'm saying, Jim. You got to get the diaper. You got to go out there with the camera. Jim, I don't know what you're doing with your life, Jim.
People would pay for it. I mean, your 25-minute videos, they go very fast. Just think what you could do with 3 hours.
Boy, there you go.
Oh, man. Jim, have you ever thought of going into porn?
No, that's never been a profession. I thought that's what I wanted to do.
All right, so besides porn, right, what are some of your favorite movies? Like, can you throw some titles or genres
Besides
out
porn.
there?
Besides porn.
Besides Busty Cops 2, Jim.
Oh God, I haven't seen a good movie in a long fucking time now. I'm trying to think of like the last. You know, I like, again, if going by my video game taste, you probably shouldn't listen to my opinions on movies. But the last one that I really liked. I liked 7 Years in Tibet. I liked Red Violin. Just shit like that. And people are gonna be like, "What the fuck are those?"
Film noirs? Are those film noirs?
No, they're not. But
No.
film noir is fine too. 7 Years.
You're into like the smart people movies, Jim.
Yeah.
You're,
Well, I'm telling you, Jim is a scholar. I feel like you went to college, did you?
Yep.
Did you go to honors college? Did you go?
Did you graduate?
Did you graduate?
No,
Yeah.
I just went for fun. You know, just that. Who doesn't like overwhelming debt for the fun of it?
Yeah, right. No, I'm serious. Like, I feel like, honestly, I'm talking to somebody who is very, very intelligent, and that's why I'm asking the question. I really want to know. Like, did you go to like a Harvard school? Where did you go? If I can ask that. You don't have to tell me specifically, obviously. You know.
Was it Ivy League? Did you go to one of the top schools at least?
Yeah.
Could you tell us?
No, I went to a private religious college.
Really?
I got a bachelor's. I initially went in to do education. My plan was to go teach overseas and probably
I fucking knew it.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
and start up my own school. But when I got into practicum, which is basically you're in the classroom, I saw kind of the other side of education, which is the administrative side, and I saw a lot of shit that I really disagreed with. So I went to the people that ran the education department, and I told them I'm not going to be a part of it. I was like, I know I put 3.5, 4 years into this. I don't want to do this. You guys suck. You're perpetuating an industry that hurts kids, and I just, I'm not going to be a part of it. So
really, wow.
I got a general studies BA. So I've got a degree that literally is worthwhile as a piece of toilet paper.
Well, at least you didn't graduate in gender studies. That's all we're happy about.
Yeah, it's okay, Jim.
If I could do it over again, I'd have gone into business. That's probably what I should have gone into.
Okay.
Well, Jim, I mean, I'll just say this though: if you would have went for education, you could have done the corrupt way, and you could have opened up I guess school of some sort. No, here's the thing. Here's what you could have done. You could have affiliated yourself as a Common Core group and get a grant, right? And then you could be label yourself as a nonprofit, and then there you go. You have your own Jim University.
I honestly would go to Jim University for my master's. Is that possible?
Yeah, me too.
Well, here's the thing that I encountered, and the thing that kind of killed it for me. Quotas do exist. They pass children based on skin color. They don't care if they can read. Mm-hmm. They don't care if they can do math. All they're cared about is the funding they get.
Really?
Which really sickens me because I think, kids are kids. They deserve the best they can get.
Yeah.
And I think it's up to educators and administrators to provide for them. And when you've got a student that can't read or somebody that's falling behind, it's, you should have a program to catch them and to catch them up.
Mm-hmm.
And, I had kids that would write numbers backwards, that couldn't spell words. And this is close to the third grade. So the problem is by the time you get in the third grade, it's really going to be a big indicator on how well you're going to be able to read, your literacy level, just how well you're going to do into school. So it's really fucking important to get that fixed.
Yeah.
And they didn't care. They just were like, fuck it, pass them. We need to get the money. We need to get our grants. And when I talked to them about, well, would you let me set up after school programs? Could I get some teachers to volunteer? Could we do something to help these kids? The answer I got was, we don't have time for that. We don't have money for that because the district is going to be spending $11 million on iPads. And of course, the company that's selling the iPads to the school district also sells apps that help the students study, but they charge for those apps. So it's like a double dipping kind of thing. So it's just this corrupt shit. And it's a disservice to kids. And it's too heartbreaking for me to be in an industry where I know that I can't help them. It would fucking crush me after enough time.
That's really where your heart of gold is, honestly. It's humbling that you feel that way.
Well, no, it makes me feel bad because I know that, if there was some kind of a structure set up to kind of support those students, they would have a much better chance of succeeding later on. So and a lot of those kids had an interest. I mean, they were interested in shit, but they just couldn't do it because they didn't have the knowledge or the ability.
Yeah.
If we had caught up to that level, they would have been fine.
So are you trying to say that you're Morgan Freeman and your life is
God.
Wait, what's that movie called? Not Stand and Deliver, the other one.
I don't know.
Never mind. All right, never mind.
You're thinking of Robin Williams in the Dead Poet Society.
Not Robin Williams.
Yeah, he's Robin Williams.
He could be that too.
He's Robin Williams.
But, no, I'm not saying I would have been some monolithic amazing teacher.
Oh, Captain, my captain. You are my captain, though. Oh, Captain, my captain.
But that's not just my experience. I talked to a lot of professors and I talked to a lot of people in education and even administrators, and they all said the same thing. Yeah, the system sucks. Yeah, there are a lot of problems, and nobody's really addressing any of them.
No, and the other problem is that you have these terrible students who are still in the class, and I don't mean terrible as in poor performers. I'm talking like real bad kids, like bad dudes, who are still left in a classroom, and it creates a learning a catastrophe for other students who actually do want to be there. I remember going to Florida for high school, and like they let these bad kids still stay in schools instead of like setting aside like a classroom for the. I'm not talking remedial kids. Like I'm talking real bad dudes. I mean, Jim, do you have any take on that or?
Well, yeah, I encountered it. I actually had one kid, and this is me in a different classroom, a different grade level, but stood up on the desk, started throwing books at people. And when the teacher said, get down, don't do that, they're like, fuck you, you can't touch me.
Wow.
If you touch me, my parents will sue you. The teacher couldn't do anything. They had to wait 20 minutes for the principal to come down to do something because they didn't have the authority to touch the student.
Wow. That's disgusting. That really is.
It is, because you've got a classroom full of kids that can't do shit because you've got somebody throwing a fucking tantrum and whipping books at people. The teacher, again, the kids know this. They know teachers can't fucking do anything in retaliation. Yeah. And I'm not even talking about corporal punishment or discipline. I'm just saying basic common sense. Get the fuck out of my room. Yeah. But, they know this and they exploit it. So, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. And, yeah, it sucks because
it's disgusting.
They got their hands tied behind their back. They can't do shit.
Are you a fan of Common Core?
Fuck no.
Good. I'm glad. I'll tell you, I have family who actually are teachers as well, and they are fucking furious at the Common Core.
I covered this in a video. One of the guys that helped write the foundational guidelines behind what Common Core would become. Yeah. Did it because he believed white people have too much privilege. He actually said this at a teacher conference.
Really?
And this goes back to my argument about quotas. Mm-hmm. Common Core is a way of dumbing down curriculum to pass kids that wouldn't be able to pass under more stringent guidelines. Because here's the thing. If we admit there's a problem and students need help, then we've actually got to create a real solution. But if we dumb down the curriculum enough, then the problem goes away and we don't have to expend the energy to fix the actual issue. Yeah. That's what Common Core is. It's a way of avoiding the fucking problem.
And also marginalizing the grade scores so that we have a better number of what we have in the country. And it really is disgusting when you look at students as just numbers.
Well, yeah, that's one of my main takeaways from it, and one of the things that really annoyed me the most is they aren't individual students. They don't think of them as, an individual. They think of them as a box to tick off on a list. Do I have my quota? That's all that's really what it is at the end of the day at the higher levels. And it's wrong. If these kids aren't at the level they need to be by middle of elementary school, they're in a lot of trouble. If they leave elementary school and they are behind, they're going to be behind throughout the entirety of junior high and high school. I mean, that's just the reality. And college isn't really going to be an option for them. So you've got to really put the effort in at the early ages. And they weren't willing to do that. It just feels like they're trying to avoid it. That's what it feels like to me. I could be wrong, but that's my takeaway.
No, you're right. You're 100% right about that. Because I see it even in college right now. I'm a student in college right now. I'm actually graduating this semester. And the kids that are about to graduate, they don't know a fucking thing. They haven't done shit. They think that a internship on campus is going to help them in their career. It's a fucking joke.
That's great. You know what I always found funny too was they'll think internships on a college campus or like some student work program's a big deal, and then you bring up something like job shadowing, and they have no idea what that is. Like, what do you mean I can go out into the actual business world and work under somebody and get an idea of what they are and kind of get a network going and establish contacts and get my name out there? Like, they have no idea. It's really like they're coming from the crib and being thrown directly out into the street, unprepared for the reality of what it's like to get a job in the marketplace and to try to create a career for themselves. They're going to be fucked.
They are. They are going to be fucked.
It's pretty sad because as the quote unquote evil HR guy, when you have applicants.
Oh yeah. I'll say this. Wait, before you continue, Mr. Metokur, Anthony is an HR representative. Go ahead.
Yeah, I see a lot of applicants who apply even for internship programs here after graduating college and everything like that. And then, in my opinion, if you're 24 and it's 2 years after college and you're applying for an internship, it kind of sets like a tone that, like, what the hell is going on between schools, because they're not teaching resume writing courses. They're not teaching stuff to advance in the workplace, whether it's through physical labor or through other means like through Excel or Microsoft Word or anything like that, or even just getting up to date with technology like web production and all that stuff. I think there are some things that like a lot of students are unprepared for, and teachers, and I'm not saying all teachers, there are some teachers that are really good, but students are also not preparing themselves for that because they're not shown, they're not being guided that way. If that
common sense has disappeared. Like the notion that, okay, I have the education, but I need to show some extra worth beyond that. Mm-hmm. That's a notion that's kind of disappeared these days. Like, kids, they get their degree and then they have no experience and they're like, what am I supposed to do? Well, if you'd taken a little bit of time, you don't have to invest a ton of it, but if you'd taken a little bit of time to learn one or two extra skills, if you'd learned a computer program, if you'd taken the resume writing course, if you'd done a little job shadowing, it would have put your name a little higher on the list. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? If you knew how to do an interview comfortably, where you go in and talk to somebody like they're a normal person, why are you good for this job? What do you bring to this job? How dedicated will you be? Like, basic stuff. But like, that common sense isn't there anymore. And I feel like a lot of kids leaving university go out with a liberal arts degree, especially. I think that's the one that's hardest hit. Mm-hmm. And they're like, holy shit, I'm so far in debt and nobody wants to hire me. What do I do? What the hell do I do? And they end up taking a job that's maybe minimum wage and they've got a BA and they're like, holy shit, what the hell just happened?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And not to mention even what you kind of lean towards there, especially in personalizations, interpersonal contact. I've had conversations with a lot of these applicants who would come in, right? And I'm not a bullshit, in the sense that, like, I don't like to ask trick questions, right? I'm very, like, to the point, I'm like, hey, what are you doing here today? How is everything? Blah, blah, blah. And I'll talk about their experience, not experiences, but I'll talk about what they've done with school, because I look at their resumes in advance and they don't, like, keep eye contact. They don't really articulate themselves well. Me, I'm all about personality. So I couldn't care less if, like, you're like the best person in the world in terms of skills or not. Like, I can't train a personality. And that's another thing too, because you're out of these universities, you get people who are just, they have this chip in their shoulder, mm-hmm. where it's like, they're like, why is this all happening to me right now? And it's a little harder to reach out to them, and I don't really hire them for that.
Will, is it as bad as it is here in America?
No, it's not. It's not really that bad over here, but it's getting that way.
Is
it really
it?
is.
Mr. Metokur, have you ever met a British person, by the way? This is Will. I don't know if he hasn't been here at all the entire time, so I want to reintroduce him.
No, yeah, I've met a few British people. You know, they're kind of mythical, like unicorns, but I'll encounter them in the forest under a rainbow.
All right, Zach, let's tell him the truth. I've been Will the whole time. That's my British accent.
Oh, okay, yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's true.
24-hour ops complete. You got me.
And by the way, I had to Google it, but the movie with Morgan Freeman is Lean on Me. So, Jim, you are starring in Lean on Me too. It's going to be straight to DVD. This is going to be the start of your film career.
There you go. But yeah, I agree with you what you're saying about the eye contact thing and just basic kind of communication skills. I think one of the problems is they train so hard for the position that they forget that they're going to be in a workplace, and the workplace involves people. Yeah. So if you can't talk to people, if you don't know how to have a professional relationship with coworkers, you know, at the very minimum with the person interview, you're in for a tough time. It's going to be a rough ride for you.
I just don't understand it. I don't understand what their mentality is to not to really just try to succeed in what they want in life. You know, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, I talked about this briefly a long time ago, but I think it comes down to, at least in America, I don't know, you know, what it's like in Europe, but at least in America, we have kind of this everybody's a winner mentality. Yeah. And it's created kind of a narcissism that's just gone out of control, and social media has played a part in that.
Feminazi.
Like everything's about me. I'm special. I've got all the participation trophies. I'm unique. Nothing's ever my fault. And, you know, when you go through life with that kind of drilled into your head, and then you're finally on your own and you realize, wait a minute, I'm a colossal fuck up and I don't know how to own up to that. It's really tough. It's really, really tough to readjust.
And I think that's why snowflakes go out into the winter. I don't know.
What, were you saving that
one? No, I just made that one up right on the top of my head. Jim, I think I want to go back to now. Let's go back to you, and I guess we'll wrap it up here because this has been a long conversation. I really do appreciate you taking the time here. Honestly, I'm honored that you even took the time here to come on the show for the first place, and this long too. It's freaking an hour and whatever.
Jim, I'll send you more naked photos if you want.
Yeah, it's
a great prize.
Yeah, I mean, turn on your webcam. I'll show you what I'm wearing right now. But like, listen, Jim, listen. It's amazing to me, and I'm just going to go back to this idea that you have been able to, first off, keep this audience. I've said this before. Keep the audience. And number two, keep your identity, too, because nobody has ever seen what you look like. And it amazes me still that no one knows what you look like.
Except for the scout of Team Fortress 2, I think you said, but that's...
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, again, it goes back to kind of the time period that I most enjoyed on the internet. It like social media as it exists today with Facebook and Twitter, and you know, even before that, kind of with MySpace and YouTube, and just like UCam and Instagram and everything, that wasn't around. You know, you really were just some random avatar and a username, and that was kind of your identity, and that was kind of how you interacted with people. And I'm just used to it. I don't see it. What the fuck is the point of putting my face out there, my identity out there? It doesn't change or alter any of the content that I'm putting out. So it feels kind of like, hey, look at me, you know. So it just doesn't appeal to me.
All right, but you do look like the aristocrat, though, right? Come on.
that was quite literally the first search result for any other aristocrat. That's why I picked it. It was a Halloween costume.
Jim, by the end of this interview, can I just at least get one headshot?
No.
Fuck. Oh, come on. Fuck.
A little stick figure. Come on.
Come on. Anything. I need to see what you look like. I need to see that face. It's killing me. All right, fine. I guess.
Just envision your typical, you know, black female in a wheelchair, and that's kind of what I look like.
Oh man. Will, you have another question? Will? Yo, Will.
What the hell? I think he fell asleep.
I think he fell asleep. Will.
He's asleep. Yeah, he's gone off to dreamland.
You know what it is? It's British time, so I think once it turns midnight, they all turn into like
stone, like trolls. Yeah. The reverse troll.
It's all the drinking he does too. He does a lot of drinking. This guy.
Yeah, it's too much.
Are you a drinker? Are you a drinker, Mr. Metokur?
Yeah. Socially, I like drinking.
What is
I've
your
gone-
beer choice before I guess let you go?
You're not a beer guy. You're more like a.
I'm not a beer guy. I'm a hard liquor guy.
Ah.
Vodka, just vodka straight up. I like to get to the
Right.
point. If I'm gonna get drunk, I'm just gonna get drunk.
Vodka straight up. That's it. There's no like mixing it with anything. Just straight vodka.
Maybe on occasion I'll have it on the rocks, but that's about it.
Oh, come on.
So
That's not mixing it, but whatever. That's adding something to it.
No, to me that's mixing it. You're diluting it.
I could see you as a Jack guy though.
I've always stuck to vodka, and I particularly like the shit that tastes like paint thinner. So Kharkov is the way I go on that.
Anything that you can slowly kill yourself to, right?
Well, you want to know that you're doing damage, so it has to taste awful. That's my philosophy on it.
Oh man, Mr. Metokur, where can they find you if they don't know who you are yet and they want to check you out?
Oh, my YouTube channel is Mundane Matt. You can find me there.
Oh my god!
And I love it. I love it when you show up and you greet me by saying, "Hey, faggot, kill yourself." So just show up on my videos, Mundane Matt on YouTube, and just say, "Hey, faggot, kill yourself."
By the way, I want you to know something. I did see in the recent video that you posted from Deviants. I want you to know this because I don't think anybody noticed this, but I did. I noticed the name you used when you published yourself onto their little safe space, and I thought that was hysterical.
Yeah, the funny thing to me is that's been sitting there for 4 months. That's been sitting there for 4 months with links going to every fucking website he inhabits.
And nobody noticed.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
Jim, I love your work. We all love your work here on the show. And we really thank you so much for joining us here for such a long time, too. It's been a dream come true for both of us. And we really wish you the best of luck on all your success on YouTube and on all your platforms. And, you know, we're behind you 100%, and you're welcome back anytime. We'd love to chat with you again whenever you're free. And
I had a good time.
Of course.
I enjoyed coming on. Not a problem.
Thanks so much.
Come back anytime you want.
Jim, thank you so much for joining us here on Uncensored Live. Really appreciate it.
Listen live Mondays 5 Eastern, 10 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time on Z Radio Live.